What's going on, guys, and welcome back to LOI Fan TV. In today's video, we're going to be having a fan debate ahead of the Dublin derby on Friday night at the Tallaght Stadium when the champions Shamrock Rovers play host to last year's runners-up and bitter rivals Bohemians. I'm thrilled to be joined today, firstly, by Rovers fan Adam O'Callaghan. Adam, how are you keeping, mate?
Oh, good, yeah. Keep taking over. Obviously, good win for Rovers last night, despite the terrible performance, but I'll take another injury time winner. So, no complaints there.
Absolutely. We're also joined by Bohemians fan, who's also a member and a coach at the club, Breen. Pleasure as always. How are things?
Not too bad. How are you?
Yeah, all good. Excited for this now. Been looking forward to it all day. I can feel the tension in the room already. To be honest.
Yeah, no.
The first question, the whole video that we're gonna pose to both the guests today it's simple, but I feel we're gonna have some differing views on it from the guests. So the question, of course, being who is going to win the Dublin derby this weekend. We'll start with the home side. Adam, Rovers are currently top of the league, have picked up a knack for a late winner as well. You obviously mentioned that. Are you confident ahead of the game?
Yeah, like I said, despite the performances recently, we haven't really, been at the races for the full 90 minutes. We've only started really playing well when the game's really on the line, about 10 minutes to go, and that's when we start picking it up. But like that, as champions, it's good to, you can play bad, but ultimately, if you win the game, that's all that matters as well. So, yeah, my answer is yes. I'd be very confident going to this game. Obviously, Bows haven't been in the best of form at all. They haven't got out to a good start as say they did last season or whatever. So I'm fully confident Rovers will get the win anyway.
Do you think the case of obviously Jack Byrne and McAnuff leaving, it's tough to kind of recover from that? Obviously, you're doing well in terms of results, but it is in terms of the way you're playing and stuff. It's going to take a big hit on it.
It's different because the amount of players you brought in to try and gel, because you have the likes of Sean Gannon coming in playing in a 5 instead of a 4, and then Ronan Finn's moving back into the midfield as well. So it's going to be a change. You have obviously Chris McCann there and stuff, Sean Hoare coming in, like some Mandroiu and stuff, and Rory Gaffney, he's gotten fit again as well. So I think it's just going to take a little bit more time to gel because there's so many good players we have. Like you saw last night, we had Gary O'Neill and Dylan Watts, and Gary O'Neill, Ronan Finn, Dylan Watts playing in midfield, and then come Friday it'll probably be McCann, Finn, Berkey, and Mandroiu all playing.
Yeah.
So like it's good that we had that sort of depth in our team.
Definitely. We'll come to you, Breen. Been a bit of a rocky start for Bows this season. They're currently in 6th place with 7 points from 6 games. It's a bit of an old cliche, but you think it's a case of form kind of goes out the window for this one?
Yes and no. I like the thing with Bows' form so far this season is that we're only 6 games in, so it's hard to say that they've played really poorly and they played really badly. They've kind of played really well and played really, really badly. At times they've had moments where they've gone, oh, that was really good, and it looks like they're starting to gel. And then at times, like there was times last night where I thought there's no cohesive plan here. Not that there's no overall plan, it's just they haven't quite got it together. I think, like Adam said, they obviously have Rovers have brought in a lot of players and had to replace some very good players, and it's the same with Bows as well. And it's kind of the nature of the League of Ireland, unfortunately, is that every year you kind of you generally have a new side kind of coming in, and you have to allow time for these players to settle, which isn't ideal when you're trying to run a football club and run a football team. But if you're going to ask me, am I confident about Friday? I'm not unconfident, but I'm not confident. I'm very neutral because so far it has been such a mixed bag. There's things I'm concerned about, but there's things that have kind of stood out and gone, oh, that's not too bad. And also it's hard to know what team he's going to pick. Keith Long, he made 6 changes last night. I know it's a kind of a midweek game in 3 days before a derby, but I was listening to another podcast today, and they were saying kind of in the context of our season, Sligo Rovers is probably a slightly bigger game at the end of the season than Shamrock Rovers, because ultimately we're probably not in a position for a serious title challenge, and you're kind of looking to secure a European spot for the next season, and Sligo Rovers are probably going to be the team that we're fighting against for that spot. So it was disappointing last night, but I understood why he made the changes. So in terms of like what changes will he make again on Friday, it's hard to know. No one really put their hand up last night and said, "Yeah, pick me." But it'll be interesting. I'm not. As I said, I'm not 100% down in the dumps about it, but I'm not overly confident going there. We haven't beaten Rovers in I think 2 years now. I think it's 4 games in a row, and we've lost. So I don't want that to be 5.
Do you think going to Oriel Park and winning will give the players a bit of a boost going to like one of the what you would say bigger clubs in the league and going there and winning? Would that give a bit of confidence for this?
Well, there's no bigger club than Bows, in fairness. Yeah, like it can do. It isn't the same as I don't think going to Oriel Park or going anywhere else in the league is the same as going to play Rovers, home or away. As you said, there is the cliche of form's out the window, and there aren't any other game like it. Games like it in Ireland, but it could do. Like obviously, Dundalk are in a terrible spot at the moment, and we rode our luck a little bit there. There was probably a penalty for Dundalk towards the end of the game, but overall, I thought we were worth the win. So it could give the players a bit of confidence. But I think for me, I'm not part of the senior management squad or part of the team, obviously. But for me, Rovers on paper are a much better side. So they're going to have to go there and try and express themselves, but they're going to have to concentrate for the entire 90 minutes. And so far, it's been kind of difficult. We haven't been as secure at the back as maybe we would have liked to be, and we've only scored 5 times.
I think you could revert to a back 5 for it. Just obviously touching on what you're saying.
Possibly. I think I've just got the teams in front of me that we played in the last 3 games. And I mean, he didn't play. Tyreek Wilson, I thought, looked excellent against Waterford on Friday. Didn't play yesterday. Rory Feely moved into kind of centre half yesterday. Didn't play as well. He had been playing at right back. Andy Lyons has come in and done okay, played against Dundalk and done well. And Rob Cornwall was kind of Rob Cornwall and James Finnerty looked like the 2 centre halves that you'd want to go with. Will he switch to a back 5? I think I would be a bit strange if he switched to a back 5 for this game. If you're going to do it, you probably would have played it last night, get the players used to it, see how it goes, and then play it. But coming off the back of a defeat, you would expect a reaction in the biggest game there is really for us. So I would expect a reaction whether he goes with 5 at the back. I don't know whether he changes the system completely. I don't think so.
Adam, a lot of eyes in this one are going to be on Danny Mandroiu, of course. Obviously, give us a few, open it up, maybe just give us a few of your thoughts on how he's been so far this season.
Oh, what a player, lads. What a player. Honestly, probably one of the best signings Rovers have ever made.
Really? Jack Byrne level.
I think Mandroiu's been excellent for us. I had my doubts about him even coming to Rovers, I'm being honest with you.
Yeah.
I didn't really like sort of move or whatever, but he has grown on me. Obviously, kissing the Rovers crest and stuff, really knowing who the best club in Dublin is and so on.
Doubles up as the club photographer as well. So
yeah, I'm telling you, that's a great photographer in Charlene. I'd love to meet her one day. But no, Mandroiu's really come in. He's really fitting well with what him and Burke are doing. I think if the fans were here, it'd be a lot different, because I know it's in talent and stuff, but the boos for him, if the fans were there, would be so loud, it'd be ridiculous. So it would have been interesting to see how he'd handle that pressure. So I think the fans not being there is going to make a massive difference for his performance in particular. I think he's going to, if he's continuing the way he's playing, I think he's going to keep play well, particularly on Friday, because it's a massive game for him personally. He knows all the Bows lads and stuff, and he'd probably say it. He'd look to stick it to them. But he's like that. He has been playing well. It would be a different game if there was supporters, because look at the history he's had with Bows and stuff. But I'm very happy with what I'm seeing so far. What him and Burke are doing. You're seeing even when they both came on. Just there's more, like they might drop deep or whatever. When they get on the ball, they're so good in tight spaces, as in getting the ball, like passing the ball through them, even dribbling the ball through. And obviously they both have a ping on them as well, and they have that sort of knack of getting goals. Like Mandroiu got a header last night Obviously, it's not a specialty, but he knows how to score a goal as well. So been very pleased with him.
Yeah, yeah. I'll come to you first in this, Adam. I'll be interested to hear Breen's thoughts on this as well. But just in terms of, you mentioned the fans there. Obviously last season at the Tala Stadium there was no fans there, and Shamrock Rovers did win. But previously both had a pretty good record the few seasons beforehand. Do you think maybe the fans there plays into Shamrock Rovers' hands more than, sorry, the no fans there plays into Rovers' hands more than it does Bows?
Well, it depends where you play the game. Regardless of what happens, the Daily is always going to be a bit louder at the start because you're in the stadium, you're playing Daily Mount. It goes the same in Tala. I think fans have made a massive difference. I think before, when we went on that run where we couldn't beat Bows, a lot of the Rovers fans were getting on the players' backs. I remember one game, it was the game actually, Mandroiu scored that screamer against us. Afterwards, we were there and the Rovers team got some abuse off of us. Like they got a lot of abuse, and I don't know, obviously that was a motivating factor because Bows haven't beaten us since. But even the build up to the game where we first beat them, the whole week on all the Facebook groups, they're like, "Oh, make sure you get into the ground, 2 hours before kickoff, get your seats, create an atmosphere before the Bows fans even arrive, and stuff." And look, same goes. I'd say if with the way we've been beating Bows, I reckon Bows fans would do the exact same thing.
Yeah.
Because they want to create an atmosphere, they want to create an intimidation, to try and intimidate not only the players but intimidate the fans, like who can be louder than most. So I think the crowd has a massive influence on the game. You could even see the last game we played. It wasn't really a good game. Like there was a few chances here and there, but the teams don't feed off their energy. I think once, if you feed off the energy, then stuff happens, things get created and stuff.
Yeah.
So you
like
have
that's what I always think of is the Leahy goal for Bows at Tala that time, 97th minute, like unbelievable moment.
Stop.
Even a neutral, like mental. Like.
Stop. But you see, what it means. Like you like as a Rovers fan, the energy's just drained from you, and you're like, there's no way you're gonna, regardless of it, even if there was like 2 or 3 minutes to play, there's no way you're gonna win from that because you're like, what, you're just drained out of it. I think the same as the sense when we beat Bows in the semi-final that time, we scored in the first 7 minutes of the game, and you could even see, obviously, Rovers fans celebrate, but you could even see Burke. Remember, he scored the goal. He was feeding off the crowd. He was going right up to the Rovers fans, not really celebrating, just kind of like raising his arms and stuff. And the Rovers fan responded to that. And not only we didn't the fans didn't rest in the laurels at all. They only got kept going louder and louder. So it is a massive impact. Obviously, terrible we can't go, but look, we'll just have to support it on our tellies for the time being. So.
Yeah, for sure. We're going to come to you on that as well. What do you think? How much of an impact does fans have on Bows, do you think, from your point of view?
I think arguably, and I might be a little bit biased in this, but I think a little bit like kind of say people have said about Liverpool in the Premier League is that they're probably the team that suffers the most from a lack of a crowd. There is an argument that that's the same with Bows in Ireland, that just given the proximity that everyone is to the pitch in Dalymount, that the team has maybe struggled at times when they needed that lift. I think in the derby, if you're the away team, it probably does work against you, maybe because you have the away sport is so vociferous and everyone is just they
so intense,
it's so intense, and you would miss that. I think if you just to circle back a bit to Mandroiu, I think if Mandroiu, it's going to be an interesting one to see. Obviously, he'd be getting the boos, and that might motivate him. But a lot of the times, I find with players, you go back to playing against their old team, and there's a lot of pressure on them. They don't particularly have a great game, and it's because the opposition players know them so well, just from training day in day out. They know their little moves, and it's harder for them than say in other games to express themselves and maybe to have as big an influence. So it'll be interesting to see how Mandroiu does. And I mean, on our side of it, I'd say there will be people maybe like Heath Buckley who'll be a little bit more kind of up for it and in his face, and that's fair enough. That's what a derby's supposed to be about, especially when one of your best players goes to the rival, goes to your rival. So will the crowd have a massive difference? Will the lack of a crowd have a massive difference? I would say at this point, yeah, if you're going back like 2 or 3 years versus this game in isolation and there's no crowd, you'd say absolutely. But like we've been playing with no crowds now for nearly a year, I suppose, in Ireland with a break, I suppose. But I'm kind of numb to it really at the moment.
Yeah.
It is going to even watching the game at Tala last year. It was just so weird and just kind of hard to kind of get into it. Even like sitting here watching, I was watching us against Sligo last night, and it is hard to be as invested in it. Maybe that's down to the camera work not being fantastic on Watch LOI, but like it is kind of difficult to get as invested in it as if you were there. And the fact that even if you weren't there, that there would be a crowd there, that you kind of feel the atmosphere a bit more, but like when there's kind of like long drawn out silences, it's not great.
You feed off that as a fan, you hear, there'll be a buzz for, there'll be a buzz for like 10 minutes, then 10 minutes the buzz will go to the Bows fans and stuff, and it's nearly like it's a back and forth really. And even like the thing with Mandroiu, if there was fans there, I think it would go either way. He'd either have a terrible game, get himself sent off or something, or he'd have a cracking game.
Scores the winner and doesn't need slide in front of the Bows fans.
Oh yeah, that's a nightmare.
If he did that, Jesus Christ, then that'd be mental. But no, like I think I agree with Brian. I think now players are kind of used to it. Obviously, there's still the rivalry. The players will feel on the day like, look, they'll be like, this is Bows lads. There's still going to be that rivalry there, but they're used to not feeding off the energy of the fans now. So I think they'll be used to it. So I don't think there'll be any real. I agree, Brian. There won't be any real influence as well.
Just in terms of obviously the big news this week was the European Super League, and a lot of people kind of saying that people need to start supporting the League of Ireland. And people actually heard a lot of people myself saying they're going to give the league a chance, and they're sick of all the things going on over in England and stuff in Europe. So I think this game kind of comes at a good time for it. It's a good chance to kind of advertise the league to these people. Obviously, it's probably the game you look out for on the calendar at the start of the year. It's just a good timing for this game.
100%, absolutely. I think if this game, it's live on RT2, isn't it? If it's marketed right.
Watch LOI and RT2, I think is it? Is it?
I
think it might be both.
The fact that I think the numbers for was it Rovers against Dundalk a few weeks ago? The numbers were very good. The viewing numbers on RT were very good.
250,000, I think it was.
Yeah, something like that, which is obviously excellent for the league. And this is a bigger game than that. It has definitely come at the right time. It has to be marketed well. It has to be, they have to get the word out there. I think that's maybe something that's been lacking throughout the League of Ireland. Obviously, Bows were quite good at it. Rovers are good at it. I used to work in balls.ie, and we did stuff with Rovers and stuff. So there is, the clubs themselves are very good at it, but this is an opportunity for the league and the FAI to really hit home that this is, I hate the phrase real football, but like this is football. This is local football that you can go to, obviously not right now, but you can go to and you can sit in and have a beer and experience a match day. And that's not to say you can't still enjoy the Premier League. I think I've spoken on here before about how you can marry the two. Just because I'm a Bows fan and a Bows member doesn't mean I can't follow and enjoy the Premier League or even the Bundesliga or anything beyond that. But it's about also, as well as doing that, you do support local football, because this is, when, as we've spoken about many times before on here, when it comes down to the Irish team and the Irish team not doing well, you just have to look at the league and the situation in the league and say, well, this is why. If we have a strong league, it doesn't necessarily mean we're going to have a world-beating international team, but we have probably a stronger international team than we do now.
Yeah, for sure. Adam, I presume you agree with that?
Yeah, absolutely. It's come at great timing. Again, if there was fans allowed in, then it'd be so much better. But I've said this it was on Monday morning when more the news about this Super League was filtering through, and I think it's fair to say top level football at that, it's been gone for a long time in my opinion, in terms of how much money's gone into the game, you know, the likes of VAR, and obviously this has really been the cherry on the cake.
Yeah.
But you know, Bows fans, the Bows supporters did it. The club did it. They, you know, they released their video. Bray obviously had a bit of a laugh about it. Rovers put up their own video. It's not just a sports. It's not just a football club. It's, you know, going out to your mates on a Friday night and going somewhere after. You know, meeting new people, going on a bus up to Sligo, sinking cans, just having the crack. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's more to that. It's not just about the game. Look, if you win or lose, look, fair enough. But you can have, as long as you have fun and you're enjoying it, that's most important. Obviously, I'm more than happy if Rovers doing well. If Rovers go unbeaten again this season, or they lose every other game this season, I don't mind. It's just going and having the crack with all your mates and stuff, and getting out, and it's you're going like that. You're going on a away bus. You're with people that have the same idea as you, have the same out like goals as you. You want your club to do well, and when you're with those type of people, it's so like it creates a bit of tribalism against the other teams and stuff. It's just creates a community like that. It creates a community. It creates a sense of belonging, and you know we need that now more than ever. And I feel like I said it to the lads myself. You know, now is the time to get out, watch the game on Friday, regardless of what it is. Regardless if it's a good game or bad game, get out and watch it. You'll get a small sense of what it is. But when stadiums open back up, go support Bows, support Rovers, support Pats, support Finn Harps, support whoever. Go out and enjoy it, and you'll get much more out of it than sitting like in the pub or on the telly, sitting at home on the telly, because it's just so much better than people realize, and I hope now people are going to realize it.
Yeah, I
Sure.
agree
That's it.
with Adam there. Like, it is about creating these memories and going to the games, and you sit there and, you know, as I said, you go to the pub and or you go to the bar and you get a pint and you talk about the game, and then afterwards you might go out. Like, that's totally it. That's nail on the head right there. And I think those moments where, even as Adam said, you lose, they make the moments when you win even better. And that was the thing about the European Super League, taking away that jeopardy of, oh well, it doesn't matter if we lose because we're just back in it again next year for the big elite clubs, where, you know, the Bows losing, what was it, two FA Cup semi-finals in a row there the last couple of years, and especially the Rovers one. It was like, I just want to get to the final, because I think that's it. It's the big day out that you kind of want. And then to lose, you know, the replay in Cork in 2018, and then to lose to Rovers in 2019, it was just like, just give us the day out.
Yeah.
Like, just, I want to go, I want to be involved. Because once you get to cup final, you know, as you said, even if you lose, you've been to the cup final. You know, obviously you want to win, but you say, oh, do you remember that day? Like, but
yeah, exactly.
It was a great day out from our point of view, I'll tell you that.
You've agreed there a bit too much for my liking, lads, so I'm going to get to disagree. We're going to finish off with a prediction. We'll start off the home side, obviously. Adam, Shamrock Rovers, what are you thinking?
Rovers 2-0, Danny Mandroiu 25-yard belter to win it.
Love that. Brilliant.
My head actually says that after all the talk this week, it'll be like a 0-0 draw. It'll be like a terrible game. But my heart says it'll be a 2-1 win, and Mandroiu will score an own goal and get sent off. It'll just be.
It's give or take. He's only going to do that or score or whatever.
I totally agree. It's going to be one or the other from Mandroiu. You'll get sent off in the first minute, or score a 95th minute winner. There's no in between. No in between for him. But yeah, I think I'd like, look, if we get a result, we get a result. But I'm a bit neutral on it. I really don't. I don't know. It's just kind of the story of our season so far.
Yeah. Well, if you're still watching the video now, do make sure. I'm sure if you're watching the video now, you'll be tuning in, no doubt about it. But do give the game a chance. It's on, I think it's RTE and Watch LOI. Make sure to tune in. 7:45 on Friday evening. It's going to be a cracker to decide who's the second biggest team in Dublin. If you can see that, but it's just to decide that. So Yeah.
I think
community.
you have to be in the Premier Division to consider yourself the biggest team in Dublin.
Yeah,
Sleeping
Jesus.
joint. Sleeping joint.
You're not even the biggest club in Ringsend.
Sleeping joint. Sleeping joint. Lads, absolute pleasure.
You just see. Have a good one.
Thanks.